Alright, so I wanted to make this video because I just got back this week from TopCon Expo in Topeka, Kansas. And it was a smaller convention, and I know sometimes smaller conventions get a bad rap, but in this case, I think I kind of wanted to focus on the positive of it because I think there's a lot of artists that maybe can't get into a bigger show. They're struggling, and this is kind of one of my problems too. Is um, trying to get into bigger shows, trying to financially afford bigger shows, the travel. You just want to hit like C2E2 or Emerald City or New York Comic Con, right? And you just can't. But especially in the America, there's all these conventions just popping up left and right, and there's going to be a lot of bad ones. There's going to be a lot of shitty ones, but in the meantime, just trying to get your work out there. Sometimes finding these ones with $100 tables or $75 tables for a weekend, it's not such a bad deal after all. There's some things you're gonna have to watch out for, but there's a lot of upside to taking them, and I don't feel like people really focus on that, and therefore some of these conventions they just don't get like a really good turnout, or they just kind of get a shitty deal. So in this case, TopCon Topeka, Kansas, it wasn't a huge convention at all. You could easily walk the entire floor in probably 5 or 10 minutes. I think there were maybe 3 or 4 rows of artist alley, and mixed in with dealers and everything. That isn't to say that it was bad. It was just small. And when you go to these smaller shows, you have to think not in making a lot of money. Don't think in terms of making a lot of money. Think in terms of networking, because that was my big takeaway with this. I did break even. I made my money back on my Airbnb, my food, my travel, everything like that. Which it was a close show, so I didn't have to fly or anything like that. But once I got there, everything else was kind of a bonus, right? With the downtime you get at these small shows, I noticed a lot of customers I got to talk to. I actually had a really great turnout as far as people following back on my social media. And that's one thing that I noticed with big shows. I handed out a lot of cards at Wizard World, and I just did not get that many follows. I just didn't really get that many follows, emails, anything like that. Now, granted, I've heard Wizard World is not the greatest convention to compare yourself to. I've heard it's kind of going downhill. I hope it's not, because I just want all these conventions to succeed. But at this show, I would say at least 50% of the cards that I handed out, I got follows back on Instagram and Twitter, and that was pretty big for me. That was kind of eye opening for me. Some of that I think was just being able to talk to the people, just being able to hear their stories. Um, Along with that, I also got possibly several future commissions too, and I think at least for my setup, not having a lot of merch, not having a big flashy banner, um, just being able to have that time to talk to people, where maybe as I couldn't win out with my art necessarily, I could win out by listening to them and communicating with them. And as an artist now, you kind of have to have all that in your tool bag. You cannot skimp on being able to talk to people face to face, unless you have an agent or your art is just fucking amazing. Uh, so that's one thing that is really big, and my big takeaway from doing these smaller shows is not only did I not have to make up that much cost, but in the grand scheme of things, I think I made more potential down the road than I probably would have at a big show. Potentially having some big deals come out of this. We'll see if that pans out or not, but I just think that might have passed me by at a bigger show. And here it didn't, because people had time to walk around, people had time to talk. I had time to get to know the person that was running the show, kind of get to talk to their family. I had time to meet the other artists there too. I made a lot of really good local connections, and that's something that I feel like is going to pay off down the road, as far as even traveling out of state, sharing Airbnbs, ride shares, whatever it is, sharing tables. Those are things that if I was getting slammed all day, maybe I would be making a lot of money uh, traveling to a bigger city, a bigger show, but I probably wouldn't have got that time to network, to talk to people, right? So this is just some things to think about with these smaller shows is maybe don't pass them up if you're struggling to get into these big shows. Don't think you have to just get into these bigger shows to make it. You can start building with these small shows, and honestly, I'm looking at more and more. I know I'm doing Memphis Comic Expo coming up soon, and that's a $75 table. It's actually a pretty good sized convention for the table, but um, it's definitely not going to be like San Diego or New York, right? It's not going to be ECCC. How many ever C's are there? How many C's are in that? It's not going to be one of those deals, but that was the first show I ever went to, and I loved it, and I've never heard of complaints about it. And $75 table. I mean, I paid it off already with the commission, in advance. So look for those shows because not only going to help those shows grow, but you're gonna start getting your foot in the door, and you're gonna start meeting people and talking to people, and those are the places where you're gonna build connections, and that's the place where you're gonna start locally to get grounded at a lower cost. You don't have to go out with a bang, at these huge conventions. You can do this locally, and you can start here. And please do. Don't shortchange yourself. Don't try to hit the home run right away, um, or else you might be out all your money, and then what's gonna happen? But yeah, like on these, it was a good show. I had a lot of fun. I'll do it again next year, hopefully, if I don't have anything else going on. But as far as like my personal takeaway, I probably need to adjust some things with my prints. I got a lot of comments on Michonne and Deadpool. Not really a whole lot of buyers on those yet, but Street Fighter 1 sold. A lot of the books keep selling. Um, People really love comics. They really love comics. They really like the buttons and the stickers too, and the originals too. Bring your original traditional work, whatever. Try to sell it. Put it in a portfolio, and see how that goes for you guys. Just try these small shows. See what happens. Don't sleep on them necessarily. They might not all be great, but if you can travel to one, if you can find cheap Airbnbs, or if you can just drive, if you got enough merch, and you can talk to people, and you can market yourself and hand out cards, it might be worth a weekend trying to do one of these, 1 or 2 days, right? So I guess I just wanted to make that video. Thank you guys a ton for the support. I really, really appreciate it. But just something to think about. Go out there and kill it, guys. Seriously. Don't let things hold you back. Love you guys. Talk to you later.